No,
All right.
Richard, Mark,
All
Jess.
right, all right. The other Quadcom is gonna start na out na ni Attorney Jez yata yung isa pang Quadcom na ginagawa namin bawat linggo naman with sila Attorney Dinile. Thank you for that shout out. Super nice to be with all of you. I know lahat kayo superstar, lahat kayo binabash. I know busy busy tayo nababash at nagbabash. So thank you for making time. Before I go to you, Chris and Jez, no, to talk about itong latest situations. I want to start first with Mark because Mark, kanina lang may nag-forward ng picture ng interview ni Sentry. And I think of all public figures out there who are spelling out the destabilization plots or alleged plots, I think Sentry has been the clearest about this. Kanina lang I was getting messages from, let's just say, different important places and they were saying there are concerns na in November talagang may plan na talagang go all the way for destabilization na and to really take out the current incumbent. So without giving away too much, Mark, can you give a summary of your discussion with Sentry? Of course, shout out also to your number one podcast in the country. Episode 2 pa lang. No, but the superstar, Vico, yung other episode. Please give us your lay of the land, Mark.
Ayun, so nagkataon lang din na yung schedule ni Sentry ngayon tapos nagsilabasan itong mga issue na to. So unang topic namin, yung pinaka-latest is yung ombudsman sa Diskaya going after Bongo. Yeah,
Yeah.
so merong mga revelation si Sentry yung lalim ng links ng mga Diskaya at ng mga at nila Bongo and kung paano lumaki yung mga Diskaya. The second part is about doon sa destabilization. And that's what I heard din. Yun din yung mga nasabi na November, next month, doon magra-ramp up yung mga pwedeng gawin. Syempre, I asked them anong tingin niya kay Kiko Barzaga, yung mga characters na nandyan. Tapos after nun, medyo nag-deep dive kami pagdating sa ICC. So binalikan namin yung buong story ni Digong, paano gumana yung quota nila for the drug war, to remind people kung bakit nasa ICC si Digong and kung sino yung mga next na maaaresto. Siguro baka ano din yan, baka connected din yan kung bakit next month magra-ramp up yung mga atake and yung mga destabilization. Tapos yung last part is yung sa 2028, ano ang dapat gawin nung mga forces like the opposition, the administration, going against the Duterte sa 2028.
Mark, can you give us a bit more detail? I mean, we can talk about 2028 again, but or later on, but yung sa fear of destabilization next month in November, kasi yun nga, yung September 21, show of force, pero yung gulo sa Menjola was quite, I would say, hindi naman isolated, but not significant. But some people are fearing we might see like something way more, parang kumbaga, combination nung size nung nakita natin sa EDSA and much more aggressive anti-system na nakita natin sa Mendiola. How serious was it as far as Sentry was concerned? And also, what is your reading? I mean, naniwala ka ba kay Sentry? Like, what is your read of situation?
Magkaiba kami eh. Magkaiba kami ng pananaw eh. Siya kasi mas ano eh, mas soft, mas kumbaga I was trying to get from him na lahat to coordinated, master plan, ganyan-ganyan. Sa kanya hindi eh. Sa kanya, ang paniwala niya mas loose, na may plano si ganito, may plano si ganyan, tapos nagkakataon lang ginagawa yung isa Mindiola, tapos yung kay Kiko Barzaga. Pero nag-agree kami na definitely President Marcos needs to be tougher. Kailangan ng kamay na bakal na dito sa mga nagde-destabilize kasi hindi sila titigil eh. Ilang taon na natin naririnig eh. Ako kasi, I asked them eh, pero hindi siya ganun nag-agree doon sa aking teorya. Na, kasi last year pa lang, we saw this na. A few hours ago, naglabas ang aking favorite ngayon, si Kiko Barzaga, ng video about seceding from Mindanao. Napakalabo, di ba? A congressman from Dasmariñas na parang encouraging yung sabi ko, baka naman parang Forbes Park rally mo lang din yan. Uudyukan mo sila tapos iiwan mo din sa ere. Bahala na kayo diyan. Laro mo na ako video games. Pero it's the same script na ginamit nung last year na sila Pantaleon, Diba? They wanted na Mindanao to secede. They were floating that idea. So part pa rin siya ng destabilization eh. So parang masyadong maraming coincidence na pare-pareho sila ng script. Tapos pag titingnan mo yung videos ni interviews ni Kiko, interviews ni Chavit, nitong mga nakaraang mga buwan, parating may mention ng China na wala namang connection sa flood control. Doon talaga ako nagtataka ng anong connection yan. Tapos titirahin nila si Kibo, you are bringing us nearer to war with China, mga ganon. Anong connection nun doon sa flood control na nilalaban nila kay President Marcos? Tapos syempre, last year pa, naririnig na natin, di ba, na merong mga ganong moves, merong mga pondong dumarating para sa mga rally, sa mga... So, if you connect lahat, parang ganun yung nabubuo kung ano, na coordinated pa rin and they will ramp up starting next month. Pero, kumaga, next month, magra-ramp up pa sila. Sentry didn't share that view. Sa kanya, mas loose yung kanyang ano. Pero yun, pareho kami nag-agree. Dapat talaga crackdown na dito. Kasi yung buong bansa din yung address eh. Babagsak yung ekonomiya natin kapag nagkaroon ng mga ganyang ano, pag nagtagumpay yung mga destabilization. And nakikita natin, 'di ba, yung latest yung sa Madagascar, yung mga Gen Z. So, ang sinasabi ko nga, hindi naman tanga kasi yung mga Gen Z sa atin. Alam nila na gusto lang silang gamitin itong mga kampo ng mga Duterte. I said na sa 2028, baka doon mo mas maramdaman yung Gen Z when they are going to vote na.
Right. Thank you for that, Mark, for laying out the Jez, you want to comment? I mean, how worried should we be that things will get a bit more intense next month, November? Kumbaga, nagde-dry run lang yata yung iba dun sa Menjola the other month. But also earlier this year, nung January, nakita natin na a certain group was able to mobilize hundreds of thousands of people. I don't know if I can believe the exact number, like 1,200,000, blah, blah, blah. But some people are worried now we might see a combination of all of these things in ways that really, destabilizes the current administration.
Well, any destabilization effort naman needs to be taken seriously, no? I agree kasi na parang hindi pa sobrang serious or kamay na bakal yung ginagawa ng admin na to. Siyempre kasi, alam mo yung admin, politically, takot yan ma-brand na martial law ulit, yung mga ganun. Ano medyo actually binibait ng mga DDS or strategizers nila na magpa-martial law si BBM kasi mag-iiba ulit yung narrative, no? Lalakas feeling ko yung narrative for them. But hindi naman kailangan mag-martial law eh. I think kailangan lang mag-file na ng mga cases kasi like for example si AFP Chief of Staff General Browner, kilala naman niya kung sino yung mga kumakausap sa kanya. He had to ask Manny Mogato pa. Parang ako ba yan? Or parang sino ba yung sinasabi mo? Ako pala, sabi ni Mogato. Ikaw, Browner, sabi ni Browner. Ako pala, ganun, ganun. So, nag-explain pa si Browner. Alam naman kung sino yung mga nagre-recruit, especially sa military, no? Yun yung pinaka-serious. Second, yung sa funder, no? Sa destabilization, wala namang magdi-disturb kung walang benefit eh. Alam mo, delikado yan kasi nga pwede ka namang makasuhan. What if ma-arrest ka? What if something dangerous happens to you as well? Kung ikaw yung destabilizer, you'll only do it kung may pondo. So, kung laging minimension, sabi ni Mark, sabi niya, minimension lagi ang China, feeling ko naman, reasonable naman to suspect siguro, no? Inaano tayo, dinidestabilize tayo ng China because, of course, mas friendly yung mga nakaraan, hindi nakaraang administration, no? Basta, yung mga nakaraan, mas friendly sa China. Ngayon, hindi kasi friendly. And when I say friendly, sell out, no? Yung talagang traidor, binibenta yung ating mga ano. Pero third, I think no sa Metro Manila, medyo mahirap magkaroon ng successful destabilization in the sense of a revolution or a coup unless the middle class, no, tsaka the traditional civil society groups, the church, kahit sabihin pa nila pinklawan yan, tsaka pinks and yellows of course, ano yan sila pa din ang magde-decide kung magiging successful man yung gusto nilang outcome. Ang concern ko, yung success if ever sa Mindanao. Kasi baka doon, mas kaya talaga nila
Secession is your worry? So hindi like sedition in Manila, but more secession in Mindanao?
Malabo ang sedition sa Manila kasi If you saw kanina sa Menjola, talagang ang daming barricades pinut up. Ready naman ang Malacanang dyan. Hindi lang nila sineryoso yung last time. So ngayon, mas seryoso sila. Tapos kung tayo, hindi tayo magjo-join yung middle or the center, hindi yan magiging successful talaga kahit na meron pang sumubok na wannabe church, no, na maging bagong Catholic church ala People Power 1 or People Power 2. Ang concern ko yung sa Mindanao kasi nga may mga AI videos, Republic of Mindanao. I actually think baka ito yung pinaka-optimal para dun sa mga gusto yon. Why? Kasi magiging presidente sila ng bagong republika ng Mindanao if ever. So, ang daming benefits no,
Well,
no?
you're
So,
saying that if hindi presidente sa Malacanang, they'll just make their own Malacanang somewhere else?
don't you see the massive benefits of that? Tapos, si China, matutuwa doon because mas madali ding ma-destabilize yung ating territorial waters, yung ating EEZ. Magbabago yung mapa, assuming no, in a future na meron talagang totoong Republic of Mindanao, I don't know how we will navigate that as a country. Baka civil war yan.
For sure, it's gonna be a total war kasi hindi naman papayag ang armed forces natin, di ba? We don't have to repeat the history. Yeah, Mark, you wanna say something?
Pwede po ba
Back to Chris,
O,
yeah.
papasok lang ako dyan sa Mindanao. Kasi this issue na last year sumabog na yan yung Kalapantalyon and all. I'm saying this MNLF, MILF, 40 years na nilang sinusubukang humiwalay sa Pilipinas. The secession movement, yung kanilang autonomy, yung kanilang kalayaan, they have been trying, and that is one of the main reasons kung bakit mahirap yung Mindanao. Dahil walang tigil yung gera, dahil sa mga pinaglalaban nila. Meron naman silang mga dahilan why they did all of that. Pero kahit yung mga MNLF, MILF, pagod na din sila sa gera. So, I don't see any way na magsasucceed itong gusto ni Duterte. Sa social media, pwede, ganun din. Marami sigurong, gusto ko yan. Pero yung actual na taking up arms, tapos lalabanan, kasi tapos na yan eh. Nanggaling na tayo dyan sobrang gera sa Mindanao. So, I think malabo na
And they're not on
in
the
that
same
sense.
page.
Kasi,
They're not even on the same page. I
mm,
mean, I had Congressman Zia on one of my shows and sabi niya, wait lang,
yeah.
iba yung struggle ng Moro, iba yung sinasabi ng mga Duterte DDS. They don't represent entire Mindanao. They don't
Oo.
represent the Moros for sure, 100%.
Yun, oo. Tsaka even if mahiwalay mo yung Mindanao, how will gaano kasigurado yung Dutertes that they will rule over Mindanao? May kanya-kanyang mga warlord yan. Hindi din magpapasakop yan. So, talagang isang malaking dream para sa mga. They could get some followers sa social media na magkalat ng ganyan. Pero yung actual na taking up arms, baka nga mangyari nga parang sa Forbes Park. 'Di ba? Tapos biglang iiwan sa ere. Biglang 30 minutes lang. O
Wait,
sige, balik
wait.
na ako
You,
Manila.
you want to go back to that? Because Mark, you were at Forest Park. Sorry, when I said ang nakita ko lang sa Forest Park ay 10 mga matatandang vlogger at si Barzaga at si Bon. I didn't mean you. I didn't see you. So I didn't mean you. Pero parang medyo ganun ang nangyari. Pati si Banat ba yung beshi mo na umatak sa amin ay hindi natuwa kay Kiko Barzaga. What's going on there?
Yun nga kasi uh, the people there, yung mga ibang rallyista doon na dumating, konti lang sila, below 100, 'di ba? Many stayed hanggang 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Pinuyat nila yung mga pulis na nandun. Tapos itong si Barzaga, ni hindi mo maasahan na tumagal doon sa kanyang sariling rally. At ang masama pa doon, nung sinita ni Banat Bay, sabi niya, you are willing to die for the country, tapos biglang uuwi ka kaagad, 30 minutes ka lang, aalis ka na. Biglang nag-respond pa tong si Kiko, ang sabi niya, kayo na lang mag-rally kung gusto niya hanggang umaga. Kumbaga siya na nga yung sinuportahan, siya na nga yung tinulungan doon sa kanyang rally. Siya pa itong nagmamagaling na kayo na lang ang mag-rally. Tapos ang sabi pa niya, sorry kasi meron akong ethics committee hearing the following day, merong session. Hindi ako vlogger na kayang tinira pa kaming mga vlogger, di ba? Na kayang mag-stay dyan na hanggang madaling araw. Doon ako medyo nainis na part, di ba? Kasi kaya ka lang naman din naging congressman dahil sa apelido mo, dahil sa pera ng nanay mo. Para kung maliitin mo, lalo na si Banat Bay. Of course, maraming issues, maraming hindi magpagkasunduan with Banat Bay. Pero one thing's for sure, yung kanyang loyalty kay Digong, talagang hindi mo matatawaran. He was there from the very start ng pagka-presidente ni Digong. Tapos itong si Kiko Barzaga, bagong pasok lang, nakikisakay lang siya sa kasikatan nitong sila ibang mga DDS na vloggers. 'Di ba? Before nagkakamping yang si Kiko, nag-Lenny, tapos nag-Uniteam, tapos ngayon DDS. 'Di ba? Ngayon lang siya pumapasok porket medyo marami siyang followers, maraming views yung mga videos niya. Kahit mga sarili niyang kasama, ganun na siya umasta. So, malabo talaga yung ano,
Just
yung
parang may kilala kong ganon, nakikikamping, tapos nakiki-DDS, tapos nakiki-ano. Parang familiar. It sounds familiar, Jess. Parang may kilala kong ganyan. Bago ko balikan si Chris, ha? Jess, parang may kilala kong ganyan. At nagagalit siya na nagigets ng lahat yung ginagawa niya, na feeling niya hindi dapat nagigets ng tao yung ganyan mga balimbing moves. Hindi na balimbing tawag dyan, it's something else. Talaga next level.
Chameleon.
I think chameleon is a bit fancy way of putting it. Ikaw, Chris, what is your take on all of this discussion we're having so far?
Well, for me, bottom line, I know that I'm the one who's gonna say it. The INC are trying to stir the pot. Hindi ko alam kung ba't di yung mabanggit eh. Pero it's true, it's the INC. They're trying to stir the pot and they have their ulterior motives at alam naman natin kung ano yung motives sila. At tingin ko lang ginagawa nila to kasi hindi sila mapagbigyan ni BBM sa kanilang mga gusto in terms of mga government positions at mga from what I hear may mga tinanggal si BBM na INC na corrupt kaya tinanggal at nagagalit ang INC dahil doon at ngayon gusto nilang suportahan ang pagtanggal kay BBM. Yan ang naririnig ko dahil nga doon. Ngayon kung may isang partido na mas susuportahan ang kanilang mga hinihiling, doon sila pupunta. Kung hindi kay BBM, sino ang pwede maging kapalit, di ba? Kaya yun ang nakikita kong pwede mangyari dito. Ngayon, again, I'm saying it lang as frankly as I can, na the people should really be careful. And again, ang hinihiling natin ay hindi yung pabagsakin si BBM. Hindi po yun. Ay makakuha tayo ng katarungan sa mga corrupt na nangyayari ngayon. At para sa akin, and I can speak for myself, you guys don't have to agree with this, I appreciate the fact that BBM did open the investigations, did open the floodgates to these investigations. In reality, he may not have had to. This could have damaged him more than it did him any good, di ba? But at the same time, sobra na eh. Malala na talaga and I think he needs to do something and I think he's really doing it. I mean, call a spade a spade. He's probably doing it for his legacy, for his ego. Pero whatever the motive is for doing it, as long as may magandang kalalabasan to, may makukulong, may mananagot, mababalik ang pera sa kaban ng bayan, so be it. So kailangan talaga tayong lahat magkaisa dito na sa pagsasabi na ang hinahanap natin ay hustisya, may balik ang pera na ninakaw ng mga korap na yan, at pagdating ng 2028, tingnan natin kung sino maiboboto natin. Yun lang yun.
I mean, Chris, you're not worried about secession, sedition, anything like that?
Yeah. I don't think so. I know they're trying, pero I don't think, to be honest with you, I have a lot more faith in the Filipino people. Na alam ko hindi sila magpapabudol. Nakita naman natin ngayon na mas matalino na ang Pilipino ngayon. Hindi na sila basta-basta pumapayag na binubudol ng mga politiko. At nagkakaisa na rin tayo kung tutuusin eh. Kung isipin mo to, no, mas marami sa ating mga kababayan ngayon ay nagkakaisa sa isang panawagan. At hindi yon napabagsakin si BBM. Yung panawagan natin lahat ay para managot ang mga korap. Lahat po sila. At yung ICI, ando doon ngayon. Andyan I mean, all the players are in place to make this happen. The ICI, DPWH Head Vince Dizon, Ombudsman Boying Remulla, and then once na mapuno nila yung position for DOJ, ayan na. Mag-uumpisa na to. And I mean, the wheels are turning. All the chess pieces are moving. May isang chess move na lang na kailangan gawin para makompleto yan. And the pawns, that's the people. Tayong lahat ay kailangan humarap ngayon dito at ipakita ang suporta natin laban sa korupsyon. Yun ang kailangan. Hindi para magkaroon ng junta, hindi para maging presidente si VP Sara. Like I always said, pag si Sara maging presidente, it's like going from the frying pan to the fire. It is gonna be worse. Hindi lang mas abusado, vindictive, ang hahabulin lang niya ay ang mga kalaban. Hindi para sa Pilipinas, para sa kanyang sarili at pamilya niya. Yun lang ang gusto nila. Wala silang interest para ayusin ang Pilipinas. Ang interest lang nila ay ayusin ang kanilang interest at kapangyarihan dito sa Pilipinas at ang interest ng China.
Do you see the Chinese hand here? I mean, at the very least, I mean, obviously they have an interest in Philippines being unstable because we'll be distracted, right? At the very least.
Absolutely. And if you think about it, come on, they have not ever hidden the fact na they have affinity towards China. Digong does, it's very obvious. How many times has he defended China over his own country? Traidor talaga yan si Digong. Tapos hindi lang yun, yan si Sara Duterte, nagsasalita pa ng Mandarin para batiin ang anibersaryo ng People's Communist Party of China. What the heck? As a Philippine government official, to even say it in Mandarin is such an insult to the Filipino people. Nakakahiya kang isang government official para gawin yan. Ganun katuta ang mga Duterte sa China. And can you imagine, I'm Filipino-Chinese and I'm saying that. Nakakahiya talaga kayo.
Wait, hindi ba insulto din sa mga Chinese kasi minerder yung Mandarin? Like, I'm not sure that was
Ayun pa, sus Mario Joseph, nagtagalog na lang sana o nag-English, di ba?
I mean, Jez, have you heard Sara Duterte giving a nice speech in even Tagalog or English? Parang wala pa ako nakitang speech proper from her. I'm not saying this because we're like competitive debaters, but like, even if I bring down the standards, wala pa ako nakita sa kanila like straight proper conversation. No offense, I'm not trying to be judgmental, but I'm yet to see, at least kay BBM, I've seen some of his formal speeches. He was not too bad. Whether dito sa, like in the West or even sa mga fora in Asia. But I don't know, Jez, if you're a debating coach.
To be fair, no, baka sa English or Tagalog, wala pa akong nakikita. Pero kapag Bisaya ang
Yeah,
language niya,
she's
no,
very
tsaka
good. Yeah.
pag dire-diretso, walang problema. Sa Tagalog or sa English, minsan may binabasa siya pero napapapos siya, ang tagal niya mag-isip minsan. Ano yan, hindi yan pwedeng i-deny ng mga DDS. Pero ako naman, of course, we have to be more inclusive, di ba? Baka talaga Bisaya ang mas natural language for her. So, unless meron siyang i-deliver na full-blown Bisaya speech, di ba? I don't want to judge her if she doesn't deliver
Well, kung may
speeches.
Republic of Mindanao and that's gonna be the dominant language, then I think in that republic, I mean, I'm just saying connected. No, but okay,
Pwede.
putting this aside, I'm just trying to be nice. Maybe the Mandarin, but maybe our French is better. I mean, you never know. Or German, right? But just let's go back to the issue of okay, if the destabilization is more pampagulo, more noise than signal, at least at the level of sedition, not secession. Um, so what is the way forward? Obviously, you want the ICI to work, you want the ombudsman to work, you want the existing institutions to work. But so far, are you seeing encouraging signs? I mean, is it glass half empty, half full, or it's like worse than that or better than that?
Well, first of all, kasi kahit even if the institutions work, feeling ko kasi yung mga destabilizers gagamitin din yun na reason bakit talaga dapat mapatalsik na or mag-incite to sedition, no? Kasi syempre sasabihin nila lahat corrupt, ganyan-ganyan. Depende. So I'm not sure if the institutions working will stop the destabilization. I'm not so sure on that. But second, yung sa atin lang naman tayo, the centrist forces, no? Of course, tayo ang kailangan natin makita talaga dyan, may mga makasuhan. And the process should be credible or believable na politiko. Of course, in a Diskaya, may tax evasion cases na, but there needs to be more cases, no? Pero beyond the Diskayas, ang gusto nating makita, mga elected officials talaga who are the masterminds of the flood control scandal or mga SOP. Kasi ang SOP, ang kickback gusto ko lang din ipasok, hindi lang naman yan on a national level eh. Kahit on a local level, nasabi ni Mayor Vico yan, from barangay to mayor, may mga SOP yan, pero hindi doon sa national budget, sa sarili na nilang budget if ever. So as long as the government shows na talagang it's serious in combating corruption and SOP, kaalyado man o hindi. But of course, we want to start with big fishes, and the big fishes have to be, kung si Martin Romualdez, di ba, kasi ano tayo no? Lagi tayong sabi, kain suka daw ang mga kakamping ngayon. Hindi daw kinikriticize BBM at saka si Martin Romualdez. Una, hindi naman tayong bumoto dyan eh. Talagang sinabihan na natin yung mga DDS noon. Sinabi natin sa mga DDS noon, ito yung mga pangit kay BBM. And yet they still voted. But second, kung ayaw nila kay BBM, equal, kasing equal ni BBM na big fish is Duterte. So, hindi pwedeng hindi pag-usapan si Duterte tsaka yung mga nangyari nung panahon ni Duterte, which I'm so happy right now is and I think a lot of centrist forces are going to be placated.
Let's just call it constitutional forces. Like, yun na lang. I mean, like, democratic forces.
Reasonable
Centrist na hindi sexy.
forces, may common sense. No, because, centrist can be conservative or liberal. Pero centrist, when it comes to following the rule of law, following the process, but making sure everything is equal or equitable, hindi yung magsesedition ka porket yung pangalawang pangulo, kaalyado nila.
100%. Before I go back to Mark, I want to go back to Chris again. I mean, Chris, you're the latest person being tagged as, like, Romualdez boy or something like that. Can we first of all demystify this? Why would they do that? And more importantly, why it doesn't make sense for Duterte's to attack Zaldico, to attack, a lot of these politicians. You can find their picture really nice next to Duterte back in the day. We know that this guy has made a huge amount of money during Duterte time. We know Zaldico had fantastic time during Duterte. Like, if you want to talk about hypocrisy at kain suka, hindi ba sila yung nagaganon sa suka dati at ngayon itatapon pa nila sa atin who have been consistently against both Team Kadiliman and Kasamaan. Ngayon, kung medyo mas madilim yung isang dilim sa Kasamaan, hindi na natin kasalanan yan. We're just being factual about it. But for the sake of our audience, bakit kayo inatak ngayon biglang? I think you just said something about ano ba sinabi mo about Romualdez in particular na naging ganyan reaction?
So it started with my interview with Karen Jimeno. Tinanong sa akin kung what do I think kung
As a billionaire interview. Yeah.
Yeah, about kung what would happen if umabot kay Romualdez. And I said, alam mo, sa narinig ko so far sa hearings, wala pang direct evidence linking Romualdez to the flood control issue. Yun lang yun, wala pa naman talaga eh. And the only lone witness na lumabas ay nagtago bigla, ayaw humarap sa DOJ. The one with the fake affidavit na mukhang hindi pa nga siya yung nagsulat nun. At wala siyang corroborative evidence. Wala man lang kahit na anong documentary evidence. Dapat man lang sana binigay niya yung kanyang cellphone para makita at ma-retrieve lahat ng mga calls and texts na kiniklaim niya na may group chat na nakikipag-usap na sinasabi na dito daw dineliver and everything. Yung pa lang ang daming mga maraming questions. So sinabi ko lang hanggang walang direct evidence, we have to see what happens, where the evidence leads us. Kung makakuha ng direct evidence na linking Romualdez to the flood control issue, tapos hindi siya nadamay, we will have a problem, right? Pero kung walang direct evidence tapos dinamay siya, it will look like a witch hunt. Yun lang sinasabi ko. But anyway, and then of course, they would dig up mga old podcasts we did na sinabi ko nga na I was very impressed with Romualdez, na nagawa niya yung impeachment. Dahil to be able to do that, it takes a lot, and I did not expect that from him, and the fact that he did that at saka
let's spell it out. Okay, no, that's a good point, right? Let's not forget. Yeah, sige, itatag na naman tayo. But let's be honest, if not for Martin corralling the votes, there would not be
exactly
to begin with, right?
Exactly. And the way he did it and put it together, it was well done. Kudos to him. And I like the fact na hinahayaan niya yung Kongreso gawin yung gusto nilang gawin at kailangan nilang gawin sa Quadcom, sa Tricom. And he was never there to try to even influence it, at least not in front. If he was in the back, fine. Pero the people were there, the representatives were there, and they were unified. It wasn't the majority, even the minority was there, even the independents were there, and they were all trying to investigate the issues of impeachment and of pogos and everything, all the ills of our country. So na-appreciate ko yun. But anyway, I think the objective really is, the narrative of all the trolls right now, the DDS trolls, is to try to destroy our credibility. Tingin nila ganun kabobo ang mga Pilipino. Tingin nila ganun kamabilis mabudol ang mga Pilipino. Pero alam mo ba, na napansin ko yung mga nakakarinig ng mga sinabi ko, alam nila kung ano yung narinig nila. And alam nila that I'm being just as transparent and as objective as I can be, na sinabi ko hanggang walang direct evidence, wala tayong magagawa. But if there's direct evidence, by all means, ikulong ang kailangan makulong. If Romualdez is guilty, then he should go to jail like everyone else. Diba? Bottom line, that's it. So, the objective is to try to destroy our credibility. Yun. And right now, what they're trying to do also is to try to force us to try to push for that narrative of Romualdez being the biggest mastermind para makalimutan ng tao ang isa sa mga mastermind na itong problemang to na nag-umpisa lahat to sa panahon ni Duterte noong 2016. This issue of corruption and transparency, it started when na itinigil ang pagpapalabas ng SALN ng mga opisyal starting with the president in 2018. And what happened? By 2020, naglabas ng order ang ombudsman na hindi na pwedeng ilabas ang SALN, and he went as far as to submit a proposal to amend the law to say na pag sinong magsalita about the SALN can even go to jail. Right after he did that proposal, what happened? Nagumpisa yung massive debt na inaccumulate ng ating gobyerno sa panahon ni Digong to the tune of 5.4 trillion pesos. And that same last 3 years, 2020, 2021, 2022, is when Pulong Duterte got 51 billion pesos in flood control. As a congressman, FYI, siya yung may nakakuha ng pinakamalaking flood control even to today. Okay, as a congressman, siya yung pinakamalaki na nakakuha sa kanyang distrito. Kaya for anyone to say na bakit kailangan tingnan sila Duterte because they were the biggest culprits in this flood control issue. Yun. And this corruption problem really is about them as much as it is about Zaldico and other members of Congress and other members of the Senate. And again, look what I said. Wala akong binanggit na particular senators or congressmen except for Zaldico kasi Zaldico, maraming direct evidence. Joel Villanueva has some. Cheese, may mga iba pero not all. So that's why I'm gonna keep my mouth shut and not name too many names until may direct evidence linking them or at least corroborative evidence. That's about it.
This is where the DDS is completely hypocrite, right? Like sa isang banda, right? They completely omit the part that the Discayas and Zaldico, yung SunWest niya, had big projects during Duterte. So una-una, mga hypocrite at sinungaling sila for omitting that very important part. Hindi big time ang mga Discaya until the Duterte era. All the projects are there. People can check it unless gusto nyo magbulag-bulagan. But pangalawa, isn't it interesting? When it comes to Discaya, hindi ko naman sinasabi na ka-Discaya sila. But parang, hindi, baka kailangan nila maging witness protection, gano'n. Ang dami mga ek-ek, pero pag Congress, immediately attack, masama silang lahat, blah, 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 parang ubusin, EJK mindset, ganon. So clearly you see a double hypocrisy. Hypocrisy of omission and hypocrisy of, hindi, ito, guilty na yan kaagad. Pero pag Diskaya, ay hindi, anuin muna natin, di ba? So you see a double asymmetry there, which says talagang, kung may kumakain ng suka dito, hindi po tayo yan. Ito yung mga alam natin siniyan. But Mark, since ikaw yung mabait, what is your take on this situation before I go back to Jets to raise the temperature?
Meron akong medyo ibang take. Slight different take lang from lahat ng nangyayari ngayon. Una, yung ICI, yung si Ombudsman, yung DPWH, do I agree na dapat nilang tignan yung kala Bongo, Diskaya, 2016, Mark Villar? Absolutely yes. Dapat syempre tignan lahat. 'Di ba? Tignan yung nangyari the last 3 years, yung mga insertions and program funds. Tignan din yung 2016 hanggang panahon ni Digong. Definitely dapat sabay-sabay nila yan. Ang issue ko, ang gusto ko lang ding i-raise sa admin, kung if I would give them advice, is ayusin yung pagdating sa messaging. Kasi ito yung galit ng tao pagdating doon sa last 3 years na insertion and program funds, ghost projects, flood control, it's legitimate diba? Alam natin yan. Hindi lang, it's not a DDS thing lang. Ginagamit lang ng DDS para tanggalin si Marcos. Pero yung galit talaga pagdating doon sa nangyari over the last 3 years na pag-abuse ng mga pondo na yon, legitimate yung galit ng mga tao. all across the political spectrum. Sa akin, ituloy nung government nila ombudsman, nila ICI, nila kasuhan nila lahat to, sila Bongo, sila Villar, tuloy nila yon. Ang dami nilang mga nilatag na ganon. Tuloy nila, pero i-craft nilang mabuti na iparamdam sa tao that priority nila at talagang they are on top. Mas number one priority nila yung nangyari for the last 3 years. Iba yung messaging dun sa actual na kaso, kasi 'di ba yung kaso, you could say sa messaging na we are going after Romualdez, we are going after Zaldico, pero yung actual na kaso baka hindi sila ganun katigas. Pero I'm saying na napaka-importante nung messaging para and makinig sila sa tao na nagagalit dun sa issue ng flood control na nakita natin na binulgar ng Pangulo dun sa sumbong sa Pangulo na website. So yun lang yung sa akin kasi baka ituloy nila yung kalabonggo, tama, habulin lahat yan. Kasi kung nangurakot, habulin talaga yan. Okay ako dyan. Pero wag nilang kalimutan yung messaging sa tao, which is half the battle. Half the battle na kailangan yung resulta ng ICI, Ombudsman, DPWH, kailangan katanggap-tanggap sa tao eh. Kasi kapag hindi siya katanggap-tanggap, 'di ba? That could be used by the Dutertes or yung ibang masasamang loob o sabihin nila, tingnan nyo, yan sinasabi ko nagano tapos ganyan lang yung nangyari, hindi katanggap-tanggap yung resulta. So, yun ang sa akin. Habang lalo na ngayon mainit pa, lalo ngayon galit yung mga tao and hindi lang DDS naman yung galit. Lahat nagagalit dun sa flood control. They should craft yung kanilang messaging na parating they are always on top doon sa issue sa flood control for the last 3 years.
Yeah, thank you I'll go back to Jess Shortland. I just had to congratulate yung former student ko pa lang yun, ay spokesman, si Attorney Martinez. He's now the spokesman of the DOJ. You never know, right? Next thing yun yung mga estudyante mo kung saan umabot. So, interesting. So, ikaw, Jess, balikan kita. So, what is your assessment of, may reshuffle na eh. So, yung DOJ team nag-move na. So, not only Remulla, but also his spokesman also moved to the ombudsman. So, he brought over his team. Nevertheless, ano yung estado ng DOJ ngayon? At least I just mentioned the new spokesman. I can vouch for this person. Was great student and good person. So I'm glad some good people are ending up there. At the same time, of course, yung ICI, there are a lot of controversy though around that. So I want your assessment. And then politically, and aside from the legal analysis, like politically, how far do you think this could go without demolishing the ruling alliance? Kasi if these investigations end up bringing down super core allies of the president, what will stop it from going to the president, or what will stop from everyone defecting away from Marcos to stop this investigation? I mean, this is the political reality. As much as ethically, normatively, and constitutional, we have to go against all corrupt people.
Okay, una sundan ko yung sinabi ni Chris tungkol sa 51 billion, no. Actually, yung 51 billion ni Paulo Duterte in 3 years yan, di ba? 2020, 2021, 2022. Pero ito 1 year lang. What about the 47.6 billion pesos na pinalipat ni Duterte kaya Duque para sa Pharmaly tsaka yung sa mga medical supplies or face mask noon, no? So,
Na may Zaldico connection. Na may Zaldico.
Yes.
may Zaldico connection sa medical, contracting, or sa meron din ko sa laptop, education sector naman, lahat na lang meron eh. Kaya ngayon si Zaldico, mapapaisip ka, di ba? Ano ba talaga yan? Tuta o tao ni Romualdez? Or ano siya talaga? Contractor siya noon pa. Kasi ang balita ko kay Pinoy lang siya hindi nakaporma. Pero before Pinoy, ano na yan, madami na yung kinokontrata. Tapos lumobo pa nung panahon ni Duterte. And syempre, nagtuloy-tuloy. Kasi unit team sila nung una eh. Second, yung assessment ko naman sa DOJ, of course, ang DOJ ngayon, nag-aantay tayo ng bagong DOJ secretary. But so far, the DOJ is doing good, no? I don't know kung nabalitaan nyo. Baka mayroon na namang magalit ng mga DDS. 2 hours ago, nag-post si Congressman Paulo Duterte na nabasura yung libel case niya against Senator Sonny Trillanes. After 7 years, after trial, ganyan-ganan, nabasura daw. Galit na galit si Paulo Duterte. So, you can see already that the tides are turning. And even in the ombudsman, di ba, there's more legal common sense coming back to those two institutions. Pero may question ako, Richard. Former student mo, ang tanong ko, bakit parang last two spokesperson, we have to be frank about it. Kailangan i-spell out ko to. Bakit parang puro may mga itsura ang kinukuha nilang spokesperson?
Tsaka Ateneo. Puro Ateneo. It's all these Ateneo boys.
Alam
Ateneo.
ko na yung sagot. Alam ko na yung sagot sa bakit Ateneo. Alam ko na yan eh. Siyempre, sa mga lawyers, law school, fraternities, alam ko na yan. Pero bakit puro mga may itsura ang kinukuha?
I mean, I think statistically, on average, basta Ateneo graduates are more,
Wow.
on the
Okay, mababaw ano lang naman. Joke lang. Yung pangatlong tanong mo yata
Dapat
is
nga lahat ng spokes may itsura, di ba? Aside
di
from
ba?
having utak, di ba?
Pero usually babae ang kinukuha na may itsura. Pag lalaki, pangit man yan o hindi, kinukuha. Pero, no offense sa mga pangit ha. Sorry, no offense po sa mga nakikinig.
Hindi naman sila ma-offend kasi wala naman aminan dito.
Yung sa pangatlo mong tanong, ano ba to, yung sa mga allies ni PBBM, no? Ako kasi prangkahan, no, if you analyze the situation and kung meron ka ding mga ibang naririnig na facts, mukhang kino-contain na nila at nako-contain na nila, which is actually good and bad, no? Prangkahan din, kahit sabihin nila, tuta ng mga Romualdez o ng Marcos. Hindi. Ako, I'm just solidly for what's good for the country. Good in the sense na, kasi syempre, kapag lahat yan magkaroon ng fallout, ma-exploit yan ng mga destabilizers. Pero bad, because syempre gusto natin managot lahat. Ano yung mga proof ko dito na nako-contain, no? Syempre, si Zaldico, I don't think mapapauwi siya. He's going to be one of the biggest fall guys para ma-assuage ang public. That's one. Second, I'm not sure if you recall, no, yung kay Yusek Cabral na may mga leadership funds. Meron ding mga tinatawag na allocables or non-allocables. Meron ding sinasabi si Leandro Leviste na lumabas na din sa ibang hearings pero hindi siya highlighted eh. Kasi nga kailangan ma-contain yung mga tinatawag na pre-NEP insertions or yung insertions even before mapunta yan sa House, no? So, yung mga issues na yan will show that corruption is really ingrained before, during, and after the passage of the budget law. Sa ano pa lang yan, Congress pa lang yan. Wala pa yan sa City Hall. Wala pa yan sa barangay budget. May mga budget yan lahat. May taxes yan lahat. So, sayang, unless, Mayor Vico, people like Mayor Vico will continually pound on the issue and so far is pounding on it kasi doon sa isang recent speech niya, no, medyo may mga siya doon nasasabi. So, ako, I think, for now, I can confidently say, just real politics, it's not me saying this is good or bad. Factually, feeling ko the BBM administration is containing it. And so I don't think it's likely na they are likely to lose allies. Except, pagdating na ng 2027, which is mag-iiba na yan, talagang mas lame duck na si BBM noon by that time. Ngayon, hindi pa siya lame duck in my opinion because of the flood control scandal.
Interesting. So you think BBM is showing that actually he's not a lame duck even if he opened up this floodgate, but the fact that he opened up this floodgate shows that he still has the power to shape our political landscape, right?
Of course, sa surveys, no, syempre bumaba yung numbers niya, pero everybody took a dive, no? It's just that syempre parang sa kanya yung pinakamababa in absolute numbers. But in terms of yung percentages ng mga binaba nila, in terms of approval or trust rating, it's not really that far na you can say na si Marcos lang yung tinamaan here. But the pivot to that kasi, Richard, is alam mo yung hindi din masyado pinag-uusapan yung concept ng for later release or yung power to impound. Wala naman talaga masyadong checks and balances sa ating system. That's why most speakers or Senate presidents kailangan ng basbas ng Pangulo. Kasi kahit magpasa sila ng budget, theoretical na lang. It's, we are both pol side, di ba? Theoretical na lang yung power of the purse. Kasi after nila ma-exercise ang budget passing powers nila, kahit na may 2/3 pa sila to veto or override the veto of the president, hindi kailangan i-veto ng president eh. Kailangan lang niyang i-impound for later release. Kung ayaw niyang ipa-release, hindi mo makukuha yung SOP mo kasi hindi lalabas yung budget for that project eh. So that concept shows how powerful presidents are still despite after midterms or kahit ano na sila, matanda
Oh,
na
kasi
or
sila yung may
sakit.
control sa purse talaga eh. I mean, even if Constitution and the power of the purse is with the Congress, functionally speaking, it's still the president who controls the piggy bank, di ba?
Correct.
Exactly. Mark, balikan kita kasi since na-mention si Zaldi, I couldn't help but also think about Harry. Totoo ba si Harry, ano? Hot na hot kay, ano? Kiko Barzaga? Nasaan ka? Mark, tumakas na pala si Mark. Jez, you wanna come in before Mark comes in and then balikan ko rin si Chris. Like, what is that whole, bakit hot na hot siya kay Barzaga? I mean, like from Supra to Barzaga. What's going on, Jez? What's going on with Harry?
I mean, Kiko Barzaga is not bad looking. I mean, even if you will disagree with me, ako naman I have to be fair. Nipo baby siya, laking mayaman. Kapag ano naman, ganon, usually, ano naman, it's so questionable kung if you don't look presentable. But of course, syempre, sometimes he looks weird or hindi presentable. So, hindi ko din alam bakit ganun yung taste ni Harry Roque. For that kind of question, Richard, it's hard to ask me kasi it's hard to be in the mind of Harry Roque. I could never comprehend his mind.
Is that so? Parang, feel ko madali naman maintindihan si Harry eh. Unang-una, what is fact, di ba? Whatever fits the moment. Pangalawa, di ba? What is, ano, delikado na tayo dyan. Okay, okay. Kung Harry, ay mo sagutin sa Harry, kamusta naman si Cheese? Cheese is coming up with new permutations ng kanyang, ano, magaling talaga mag-ano yun, ah. He's a sophist talaga, no? Magaling siya mag-explain, under-explain. So, ano daw, hindi naman niya alam galing dito sa contractor, private, charot naman. Can you explain again what is wrong with Cheese situation when it comes to this campaign donation issue? How serious?
Yeah, well, ang ano niya dyan is may gray area allegedly. Kasi pag personal funds daw or private donation, hindi siya pasok. So yun yung pinupush niya because Lawrence Lubiano donated allegedly in a personal capacity. Pero Comelec Chair George Garcia said, no, yung political department nila analyzing it will come out with a decision soon. And I don't think it will be favorable to Senator Cheese because ano na, ano na lang niya yan, defense na lang niya yan sa Supreme Court. But at the COMELEC level, the COMELEC will just see na there is a clear connection between Lawrence Lubiano and the company, which is the contractor, and Senator Chis Escudero. So sila, they will err on the side of defending election or defending elections, which is to keep it fair, honest, clean, and transparent. So ano na lang yan, palusot na lang yan ni Senator Cheese unless the Supreme Court will agree with him.
Ikaw, Chris, what is your take on this? I mean, on the Cheese, bago ko balikan si, hindi na siya Harry Jr., Jinggoy Jr. na. Bago ko balikan si Jinggoy Jr. Chris, what's your take on this? Kasi puro tayong Congress ng Congress. Let's not forget, a couple of senators are in really hot waters now.
I think that's gonna be a little bit delicate. Para sa akin, ang problema kasi natin dito ay hindi lang naman siya kasi yung nagtanggap ng campaign contributions from contractors that somehow benefited from giving out campaign contributions. So kung titirahin mo siya at ipa-penalize siya ng ating COMELEC, I think that it is only fair that lahat din ma-penalize. But that also includes the president and the vice president. So, is that something possible that can be done? According to the law, hindi ko alam. Pero now you're talking about the former Senate President, the Vice President, and the President. But, having said that, siguro ang ang kicker lang dito ay pwede naman tignan kasi yung sino yung nag-contribute sa VP, sino yung nag-contribute sa President, at nakinabang ba sila dito through government contracts. If there's a proof that there is a connection between their contribution to the president or the vice president being able to influence the contractor to be able to get government projects, then maybe pwedeng ma-single out si Cheese. Kasi sa kanya medyo obvious that Lubiano really benefited from the time that he gave the 30 million contribution. Right afterwards, the hundreds, how many, 80 projects or more, biglang billions yung projects niya right after, from 2022 onwards. It was insane. So, kung gusto nila i-single out si Cheese, yun yung paraan para gagawin to. You have to look at everyone and say, did anyone benefit as compared happened with Cheese? Then may kaso tayo. Not only that, kasi remember, yung kay Lubianong case, that he got the projects primarily are in Sorsogon, kung saan yung bail week ng tatay niya at ng buong pamilya niya, 90% was in his district. So it was way too obvious. So yun lang yung para sa akin. Again, Cheese has to answer to the COMELEC, and he can't say na, well, what about, hindi niya pwede gawin yun eh. He's guilty, he has to answer those questions. What the COMELEC will do about the others, that's up to the COMELEC. I have no issue if they do something about it or if they don't do something about it. But you can't do the whataboutism. Nangyari to, he has to answer it. He cannot escape it.
Yeah, ang hirap na. Save us, Mark. Kamustang Jinggoy?
May isa pa. May isa pang lumabas na issue kahapon. Ito, para kay Attorney Jess din to. Yung kay, teka lang. Yung 2 billion construction company ng bayaw ni Senator Cheese.
Yeah.
Umabo sa DPWH project. Yung Octagon Concrete Solutions. Iniimbestigahan na rin ng Rappler. Na yung one of the owners ay asawa ng kapatid ni Cheese na congresswoman ngayon sa Sorsogon. Which is, yun nga yung tinatanong ko, nung yung kanyang speech laban kay Romualdez, na galit siya kay Romualdez, kanya, he's the worst guy, he's the worst pero bakit yung kapatid, hindi naman nag-aalis ng suporta kay Romualdez? So, yun ang medyo mapapaano ka din, mapapailing ka din. Pero ang lumalabas nga, itong ilan, may hawak na 5% ownership dun sa kumpanya, yung brother-in-law niya. Ang presidente ng Octagon, si Milton Ngu, who is kapatid nung Maynard Ngu, yung inaakusahan na, yung kasama dun sa statement na dun kay Senator Cheese, yung binigyan daw ng pera. Sino ba nagsabi? Si Bernardo ba nagsabi nun? Yun. So, yun ang he is talagang really in hot water. And of course, ang pinakamadaling excuse, ituro si Romualdez, ituro si Pero ang bottom line dito, merong natanggap yung Congress, merong natanggap yung Senado, hindi kayo pwede magturuan, hindi papasa yung budget kung wala yung isa dun sa dalawang houses, di ba? It takes two for the budget to pass. Kaya, yan, kailangan sagutin ni Senator Cheese itong mga allegations regarding sa conflict of interest dyan kay Lubiano at ngayon dito sa Octagon na lumalabas ngayon sa mga news.
And also I mean, speaking of mga kapamilya, isn't Bongo also now in hot waters? But sinasabi niya, hindi ko naman mapipili yung sino. I mean, can you also play that game? Just, hindi ko naman mapipili yung aking mga pinsan na medyo entrepreneurial, blah, blah, blah. I mean, how does that work legally? In terms of plausible deniability? Jez?
Ako ba? Or
Yeah, like yung sinasabi nila na hindi ko naman I mean, Bongo now is also in hot waters. At sinasabi hindi ko naman mapapili yung mga pinsan ko or mga kamag-anak ko na nagnenegosyo, nagaganyan-ganyan. Like, this kind of conflict of interest issues, like how does it work?
Well, for Senator Bongo kasi, in fairness naman, to be fair sa kanya, medyo mas malalayo pa niya so far sa sarili niya yung issue ng CLTG. Except, initials niya kasi yon. That's why people are suspicious. We need to know more evidentiary links to connect them. Pero ito kasi kay Senator Cheese, based on the Rappler report alone, ang dami na nilang mas clear na conflict of interest, if not yung concept ng contractor. Kasi if the Congresswoman, si Det Escudero, has a husband na part ng isang contractor company, sa SALN nila, tandaan natin sa SALN, nakakalimutan ng marami kasi, even kay Cheese and sa Hart, and kay Hart. Ang SALN, pag nag-file ang isang politiko, kasama yung sa asawa niya. Hindi pwedeng hindi mo isasama yung assets and liabilities ng asawa mo. Especially if absolute community of property kayo or conjugal property. So, ang basic dyan, parang yung identity nyo, in a sense, isa lang. So, if the congresswoman is married to a kirante na contractor, contractor yon yung dalawang yon. And then, pag na-connect mo kay Senator Cheese, because ang friends nila ay mga Ngu, Maynard and the other brother ni Maynard Ngu, na kapartner sa negosyo sa Octagon din, then that will be more worrisome for Senator Cheese than for Bongo right now, unless si Ombudsman meron ng mga nakikitang evidence. But so far sa evidence na nakikita ko, yung alam natin in public, ano pa lang tayo, we're on the path of uncovering yung kay Bongo. We suspect pero wala pang klaro na evidence. Yung kay Senator Cheese, mas dumagdag pa aside kay Lawrence Lubiano, yung kapatid pa pala niya. Diba? So that's the problem of political dynasties, contractors, conflict of interest, if not may actual SOP.
Wow. Chris, you want to come back on this, on the Bongo aspect, because Senator Trillanes is going strong on this issue, and now also the DDS side are being on the defense.
Alam mo right now, Bongo has a lot of questions to answer. I don't envy his position right now, and the way I see it, parang ganito yan eh. He can deny all he wants, and he can say na wala siyang kinalaman sa mga negosyo ng pamilya niya. But fact is fact. The family benefited billions because of him. And don't tell me na sinasabi niya ngayon kahit sarili daw niyang kamag-anak, kakasuhan niya siya mismo. You know what? If you're serious about it, shut up and just kasuhan mo na kung seryoso kung kakasuhan mo. Di ba? He keeps saying kakasuhan niya yung sarili niyang pamilya, pero he never does it. It's all a bluff as usual. It's all a front. Ang nakakagulat lang talaga para sa akin, may naniniwala pa ba sa kanila? Ito ngayon kay Bongo, meron pa bang naniniwala? Kasi it is so obvious that the name of the company CLTG is his name, Christopher Lawrence Go. Siya yan eh. Sino pa ba yan? I mean, I don't know. Yun lang yung sa akin eh. I want to see where this is going to lead, the investigation. But yes, obviously, mukhang yan ang tatakbuhan na pupuntahan ng investigation ng Ombudsman, ng ICI, at nakikita naman natin yung connection. It's not like they're chasing after it's not like it's a witch hunt. May direct evidence yan eh. And the evidence is strong. Ang hirap, hindi nga niya ma-deny eh. Hindi nga niya dinedeny na meron siyang, na yung pamilya niya is involved with a lot of these government projects. And at this point, all he can do is just say that, well, I can't stop my relatives if they want to get into business. Kasalanan ko ba yun na gusto nilang pumasok sa negosyo? Maybe I ask that question. Actually, I want to ask that either to Attorney Jess or to you, to the others. Pag ganun ba, let's say you're an elected official nga, at yung pamilya mo nga, tatay mo din, nag-decide nga, magtatayo siya ng construction company, paano nga yun? Meron bang paraan na sabihin mo sa gobyerno, anong gagawin ko? Tatay ko, yung kapatid ko magpapatayo. Pwede ba yun? I don't know. I don't know the answer. I'm actually curious if anyone would know.
Sinagot kanina sa akin ni Sentry yan. Sabi niya naka-define daw correct me if I'm wrong, Attorney Jess, parang nakasama yan sa definition ng plunder eh. If nakinabang ikaw or yung first degree ng family. So kasama yung tatay, kasama yung kapatid, nakinabang sila doon sa for example, isang project na meron kang saklaw. So for example, if nung mayor pa si Digong sa Davao, yung kanilang kumpanya ay kumukuha ng project sa Visayas or sa Luzon, 'di ba? Pwedeng lusot 'yon. Pero yung kayo yung may hawak doon sa isang syudad or nung presidente si Digong buong Pilipinas, kumukuha kayo ng project at alam na pwedeng maimpluwensyahan yung desisyon, isa ka sa pwedeng pumili nung sa mga contractor na kukunin, definitely daw plunder yon. Parang clear case of plunder. Tama ba, Attorney Jess? Ganun ba yung
yun ang ano, alam mo, si Senator Sonny Trillanes, I admire him, no? Of course, I'm just being more cautious kasi, syempre, as a lawyer, I need to wait to see the evidence. Pero syempre, si Sen Trillanes, he's going by the logic, no? Na sila yung nakaupo nun, imposibleng hindi nagamit yung posisyon ni Duterte at ni Bongo to favor CLTG, especially daw yung increase in the, as Tristan kanina pointed out, di ba, may increase din in the number of contracts and the billions or the amount of contracts na meron ng CLTG. Indicator lang yon, but we need to build the evidence to show the actual parang collusion or favoring na talagang pinabor. Kasi remember, panahon ni President Duterte and ito yung depensa ni Bongo I don't know if you tracked it. Sabi niya, tumigil na ang CLTG sa negosyo parang around 2019 or something. Kasi nga, tatakbo na siyang senador 2019. So I think nakita na niya yon yung conflict of interest pwedeng i-raise sa kanya. Pero nung 2016 to 2018 na nagnenegosyo ang CLTG at nagjo-joint venture with the Discayas, ano position ni Bongo nun? Special Assistant to the President. And of course, President pa din si Duterte noon. So, yun yung titingnan natin na kaya ba na-award, one, mga bid rigging or na-award dahil sa impluensya ng anak nung tatay ni Bongo dahil si Bongo ang SAP. And then yung sa Discayas, titingnan natin pangalawa, di ba? Nasabi ko to sa bilyonaryo, bakit ba nagjo-joint venture? I'm not sure if naano nyo din to na track. Bakit ba magjo-joint venture ang CLTG with the Discayas? It's because nung 2016 to 2018, maliit na kumpanya ang CLTG compared to the Discayas. Ang mga Discaya companies, quadruple A, if not triple A at minimum, ang kanilang lisensya. Ang lisensya ng CLTG at nung isa pa, I forget the name right now, no? B or double B.
Alfredo.
Yes. Kung ano man yan. Basta ang point, hindi sila quadruple A or triple A. So, kailangan nila mag-joint venture para on paper, they are qualified to bid for the biggest or bigger billions of projects. So, doon pa lang, tama naman si Senti tsaka lahat ng mga nagtatanong, questionable na walang kinalaman si Bongo kasi nga ang tanong natin sa mga Discayas, sino ba padrino nila? Why do they get so many contracts? Wala ba silang ini-SOP noon? We know they're lying. Kasi na-point out na yan so many times no na 2022 lang daw onwards. Imposible na napaamin na din sila sa house noon. Alam ko na merong SOP even before 2022. So yun lang. Ako, I'm just being cautious na we need to see the actual testimonies or documents showing na pinaboran ang CLTG dahil si Bongo ay nakaupo. But so far, because again, there are different or separate personalities, yung company na CLTG is separate from Bongo, separate from the father. The father is a separate person from Bongo. So hindi kasi sila mag-asawa eh. Iba yung sitwasyon dun sa Congresswoman Det Escudero tsaka Kirante kasi magme-marry yung ano nila commercial or economic personality in a sense. Dito iba naman in fairness, legally ang personalities ni Bongo tsaka ng tatay niya tsaka ng CLTG. So we need to see more proof of the connections.
I mean, you can look at it from different angles. So I coined yung term na Duterte Garks. Ito yung mga tao na parang mom and pops ano lang sila, and then next thing you know, multi-billion dollar, I mean, we don't need, you know, who are we talking about, right? So first of all, makikita mo na biglang there's a jump. Not tama si Jeze. It's not only in terms of the quantity of projects but the quality of projects. So, okay, let's spell it out. In the case of Dennis Uy, one of the reasons people were very suspicious is that ano bang capitalization na itong tao na to? Ano ba ang experience ng tao na to, for instance, to be part of a multi-billion dollar telecom bidding? And the next thing, you look at the bidding procedure itself. Were they competitive? Sino yung nasa bidding? Were there controversies raised with the bidding procedures, etc.? So I think the Duterte Gark situation already gives us a kind of a framework. And the pangatlo, of course, now with all the flood control, ghost projects, etc., pwede mo rin tingnan, may nakuha ba sila ng mga projects na may kinalaman sa mga ganitong questionable projects, or did they team up with questionable people, which could also give you another red flag. So you can have a 3-4 steps whereby you could see ang daming mga red flags na raise, And then from there, I mean, Jess can tell me more. Iba naman kasi yung quantum of evidence within Sandigan Bayan. But I think at least from a initial hearing investigation and red flag standpoint, we can do it on our own. If you look at just the SEC filings and then connect a few dots, you can already see masyadong suspicious, di ba? Na bigla sila nagkaroon ng ganito malalaking projects, ganito. And then yung bidding, questionable, parang rig yung bidding, or bakit biglang sina... And in the case of this guy, it's interesting, right? They were banned na blacklist sila and then biglang nagkakaroon ulit sila ng projects towards the end of the Duterte administration. How is that possible? What is the ground for that? So I think hindi mo naman kailangan maging henyo or constitutional law expert to see something is really wrong there. Kaya ako, I rather look at yung mga investigative reports, including by PCIJ, by Rappler, among others, to look at it. But ito, by the way, Chris, I want to ask you, completely unrelated to, of course, the discussion natin. Alam mo, there's this new pretentious MAGA, DDS, blah blah, mane-mane group. For some reason, I never heard them criticize any DDS senator or wala kinalaman yan, by the way, sa mga discussion natin so far. Parang mane yung pangalan eh. Medyo mane din yung level ng intelligence ng mga nandun, except yung mga non-political people.
Alam
Parang
mo,
suspicious
ako,
no? Kasi ikaw inatak ka on, bakit ba wala tayong sinasabi kay Martin Romualdez? Pero ako, parang suspicious ng mga friends natin. Wala silang sinasabi about any of, I'm even interested ano mga take nila sa mga Discayas, gano'n. Speaking of red flags, no? Mga suspicious red flags.
alam mo, ako ganito na lang ano. Ito lang masasabi ko. Pag ikaw ba, naglalakad ka sa kalsada, tapos may nadaanan kang asong ulol na tumatahol, tatahol ka ba? Makikipagtahulan ka ba? Yung, di ba?
Tapon mo
Hindi,
ng
di ba?
ano, tapon mo ng ano mo, tsinelas mo.
Oo, ako, dire-diretso lang, hindi ko pinapansin yung mga ganyan. At sa akin kasi, mas importante na nakatutok tayo sa issues. Nakatutok tayo sa problema ng hinaharap ng ating bansa, hindi sa isa't isa. Wala akong oras makipagtalo sa mga iba't ibang mga ah, content creators, vloggers, o kaya kung sino man. Gusto nyo akong tirahin? Be my guest.
But
Gusto
shouldn't
nyo?
sorry bro, but shouldn't we be worried but itong mga barking dogs, next thing you know, biglang may tractor na sila, biglang meron na silang microphone, biglang sumasama yung ibang German Shepherd, biglang sumasama
Okay.
yung mga... Hindi ka naman sa, like parang yun ang nangyari.
I, I,
Nung
get- I,
una, barking dog lang. So as Churchill said, if you throw stones at the barking, you'll never reach her. Problema kasi itong mga barking dogs, parang nagre-recruit sila eh. May mga legit
yes.
pa nga nakasama nila eh. So hindi ko alam what's going on there. Very
Um,
suspicious.
Siguro alam mo ano, mabuti na ano na lang ano. I think well again, maybe I have a lot of faith. I have a lot of faith in the thinking public na nakikita naman nila yung katotohanan. At I would let, I have nothing to, wala naman ako kasi kailangan depensahan eh. People will say what they want to say. I mean, we all have had people criticize us for so many different things, di ba? Imagine mo kung susubukan mo depensahan ng sarili mo sa lahat ng mga binabato sa'yo. Wala ka ng panahon para, to keep your eye on the ball. You know what I mean? And for all of us, lahat tayo nabati ko sa in one way or another for a lot of different issues. I actually even know ano yung binanat kay Richard, ano yung binanat kay Attorney Jess, ano yung binanat kay Mark. Nakikita naman natin lahat yun
Wala
eh, di
naman
ba? So
banat
yun
kay
lang.
Mark eh. Everyone loves Mark. Yung si Mark, tatlo tayo inatak si Mark. No one hates
Parang
Mark.
matahimik lang ako,
Mark,
di ba?
ano bang,
Tahimik lang ako
what is
ngayon.
the secret, Mark? No one hates you, everyone loves you. It's very suspicious.
Hindi.
Friendly lang to all. Friendly
Yeah,
to
love
all.
you, man. You're the best.
Ah,
You're the best. No, no,
ah.
no. Chris, I completely agree with you. I mean, look at it. Hindi ko rin pinapatulan yung mga low life na yan. Having said that, we cannot also turn a blind eye, especially it looks like a proper operation. I mean, it looks like lumalaki.
Hmm.
And it looks like they're getting away with blah blah blah. I think sometimes you have to call out nonsense, diba? Kasi I'll tell you, Chris, sometimes maybe offense is really the best defense and yun ang ginagawa sa atin all the time, di ba? Like, hindi natin magawa ang kailangan natin kasi biglang ina-attack tayo. So even if you ignore them, it takes away energy. It creates confusion. I was wondering, Jess, because ikaw yung pinaka-aggressive sa atin na apat. Isn't offense the best defense? Actually, look, no, tumahimik ka, you pin them down right up. Huwag kang magulo dito, di ba? Isa ka nga eh. Don't you think that's a better way? I mean, because I've so far done exactly what Chris has suggested. Like, as much as possible, hindi ko pinapatulang kasi sa sobrang daming haters na, no? It's not even practical for me. Doesn't make sense. But I think sometimes offense is the best defense.
Ako kasi ano eh, yun nga, ay hindi na ako yung parang Lenny Robredo eh. Ako patolera ako eh. So, I engage.
Anyway,
Yeah.
radical
Turn
na
it,
pagmamahal, yung ba yung, that's what you...
yeah, or yung turn the other cheek, di ba? Wala, hindi ako, papatulang ko naman yan. Pero hindi lahat papatulang ko, di ba? Of course, I see things and I just pick on the most strategic or yung mga pinaka-egregious examples, no? And I turn it into my advantage. One, syempre, I also farm it for engagement. Pero second, hindi ko naman sila inaalaw mag-comments. That's why, kasi kayo medyo ano eh, public yung pages nyo. Ako, yung public page ko is still a personal Facebook page. So, only friends can comment. Actually, if you just look at my inbox, kapag pinakita ko sa inyo yung inbox ko, grabe, ang daming message request saying, bakit hindi open ang comments section mo? Ako naman, tawa-tawa lang ako para, hello, ang dami kong natutunan. Years ago pa, mga bata pa kayo, ang dami nyo pang gatas sa labi. Ako, ano na ako, veteran na ako dito, no? Iyak na lang kayo. So, that's second. Third naman, kasi kayo naman, lahat naman tayo, mas nai-interview ng legitimate media eh. So, sa akin, yung mga patutsada nila kasi will not matter as much to me unless sobrang fake news yan, no? Or unless sobrang mali. Because I know, hindi naman sila yung pinapakinggan ng mga people in power. Ako hindi ako masyado mayabang pero minsan lang ako magyabang, 'di ba? Ako kasi I can see minsan yung mga post ko umaabot sa mga people who matter. So sila kasi, 'di ba? Bakit ko naman
Yes.
papatulan yung mga trolls?
Actually, I wanna add to that, tama yung sinabi ni Jess eh. Yung ginagawa nila do not really reach to the people that matter. That's number one. Number two, ito lang. Um, the only time na papatol ako is kung mas marami silang followers sa akin. Yan. Kung yung YouTube nila ay umabot sa akin, sige, pwede. Kung malampasan na ako kasi tulad ni Attorney Libayan, yung best.
Ayan pala, naghahanap buhay pala tayo lahat dito eh.
Oh, sabi ko, alam mo sa akin.
If it's worth it.
Oo, sa akin kasi, yun, sige, game. Dami followers, why not? And I am more than happy to face all of his followers. And the reason is because alam ko na pag humarap ako doon, ay may mga makukuha ako sa kanya. At true enough, after nung debateng yun, maraming mga followers niya ay umalis din sa kanya at na-realize kung na-realize sila yung pinagkaiba namin dalawa. So yun lang. And but having said that, I understand that kahit naman sabihin natin whichever way you want to look at it, there are people that are going to believe what they believe. Kahit na sabihin mong nanalo ako, may magsasabi pa rin na natalo ako. Ganun talaga eh, di ba? People will see what they want to see. And like I've always said, I have no need to control the narrative in your mind. Kung ako ang kontrabida sa utak mo, by all means, I'm happy to live in your head rent-free. And I know I live in some people's head rent-free right now. Gabi-gabi pinag-iisipan nila ako at paano nila ako marirage bait para sumagot sa kanila. Maybe one day. Keep trying harder.
Yeah, I mean, Jez knows this. Ako naman, my principle was very simple, although one-off lang. Pag nasa poder sila and they have an influence, I'm willing na patol sila to bring them down. Pero ngayon na wala sila sa poder, I mean, there's no point in me even patoling. Alam ni Jez yan eh, at the height of the power of this DDS, pinatulan ko sila in a public debate. And in fairness to Jez, he was one of the few brave souls who was willing to stand by my side. But there's no point na patulan these people kasi Jez, honestly, it was not even a debate. Alam mo, pati yung organizer lumapit parang, Shex, parang ano na, sabi ko, oo nga. Pero never mind, basta ano na, para sa bayan, di ba? And then hindi ko na inulit. So, no, so this is strategic battle. I think I call it strategic battle and I think it makes sense. Kasi back in the day, Jess, di ba, wala tayong halos online presence. So for me, who was just beginning to gain online presence,
Yeah,
sinabi ko,
actually. O, di ba? Ito, Quadcom. Thank you so much. Andiyan na si Kristan. Andiyan na si Mark Gamboa.
100%. 100%.
Andiyan na lahat ng
Exactly.
iba, di ba? Pero ako, meron akong suggestion sa inyo. Chris, tsaka Richard and Mark, kung meron mang mga hamon sa inyo na mag-debate or patulan nyo sila. Ako kasi, ang stance ko ngayon, and sinabi ko to dun sa mga ilang gustong, patulan ko sila or debate daw, gano'n. Sabi ko, okay, pero debate tayo doon sa show ng Bilyonaryo, yung Abogado PH, para meron tayong referee.
Proper platform.
Yes, may moderator. Kasi mahirap yung lang yung papatulang ka tapos isa-splice naman nila. Mahirap naman yung ganun.
At tama ka doon, ano? At saka ang problema kasi pag wala ngang format, it's not a proper debate and wala eh. Walang, like, when I did it, wala eh. Yung, wala nang masabi. Palit bigla na lang, change topic, change topic. I'm like, teka. Hindi ko, parang, sige na nga, change topic. Okay, sige, ano gusto mo? Pwedeng informal debate. Sige, kung gusto mo informal. Pero mas maganda kung formal debate with formal rules para malinaw. Meron kang time for question, may time ka for rebuttal, at may time ka for your opening statement and closing statement. Yun nangyari sa amin kasi wala man lang ganun eh. Kaya it became futile. Wala talaga, walang kinalabasan yun. And yeah, you're right. Next time dapat nga merong middleman talaga, may referee talaga.
At saka ako sa tingin ko, if you have to do it once in a while, pero gawin mo na in proper platform, hindi lang like in terms of legit. I think magandang live events. I think yung ginawa natin Jess noon, it was just the wrong people and wrong circumstances. Kaya sabi ko one-off nang yun, di ba? But now that I think we have our own platforms and power and all, I think we can set up something proper. Kaya ako, I'm sure Mark is the perfect person to also help us with that. I think down the road, it makes sense for us to have... No, actually, di ba Mark, yung ginawa natin with Banat Bay, that was okay.
May episode tayo with Banat Bay, di ba?
That was okay, di ba?
Sino makakaisip na
Mainit ang diskusyon, pero walang bastusan.
Pero civil naman.
I think that's a good model. Honestly, I have no problem debating anyone if ganon. Yung ginawa namin ni Banat Bay. So basically, Mark, ikaw yung naging referee, de facto referee doon. I'm so sorry. Mainit yung discussion, but very respectful at saka walang bastusan. And a proper production, ganon. So I'm perfectly fine with that. Pero yun lang, bago kayo maghamon, sigurado na hindi competitive debaters ang pinapatulan yun. Yun lang gusto kong sabihin dyan. Natatawa ko na hinahamon tayo sa debate. Like, do you even know we spend years of our life doing this at the highest level? Oxford, what's that? Parang
Saka ngayon ready na ako pag sinasabi nila, bakit hindi mo tinitira si Martin Romualdez? Binabalik ko lang lagi. Ang sinasabi ko, bakit hindi mo tinitira si Duterte o si Sara? Ayun, wala na sila masabi.
Alam mo dadagdag ko lang dyan, attorney Yeah, ito yun eh. Sa mga nagsasabi na anti-corruption sila, hanggang hindi mo mabanggit ang pangalan ng mga Duterte sa isa sa mga corrupt, hindi ka anti-corruption. Period. Okay? Pag hindi ka anti-Duterte, hindi ka anti-corruption. Gusto mo lang makabalik ang mga Duterte sa kapangyarihan kaya ka sumisigaw ng galit mo ngayon. Pero hindi talaga korupsyon ang nilalaban mo. Ang hindi ka makabayan. Alam mo tawag sa'yo, maka-Duterte. Yan ang katotohanan. Yan ang pinagkaiba natin sa kanila. Kaya yung mga supporters si Duterte na nag-iisip pa, alam ko meron pa dyan na nag-iisip na nakakarinig na itong mga pinag-uusapan natin ngayong araw na to. Paalala lang sa inyo po, binubudol kayo ng mga Duterte at hanggang hindi nyo kayang sabihin ang nakikita nating lahat na ang mga Duterte ay kasing korap ng lahat ng mga korap sa Pilipinas. Pag hindi nyo kayang aminin yon, you are not anti-corruption. Kasi ako kaya kong aminin yon. Yung mga kasama ko, kaya nilang aminin yon. Na lahat korap. Kaya mo ba? As a matter of fact, I will even go as far as this. Na nung lumabas yung issue ng insertions kay Risa Hontiveros, I said, kung may ebidensya against Risa na corrupt siya, I will be one of those that will ask for an investigation. Pero wala eh.
Right.
Wala. At the end of the day, remember, all of this links down to direct evidence. Yun lang yun. At hanggang wala tayong makita ng direct evidence, mahirap maghusga, especially ngayon. The ICI has to be careful. DPWH, Ombudsman. Remember what Ombudsman Boying Remulla said when he was a DOJ secretary. Ano yung ginawa nila as DOJ? Sinabi that now, pagsasampa tayo ng kaso, we must have certainty of conviction. That is the standard that we will go with. Hindi
Yun
na
yung
yung
quantum
tulad nung
threshold.
previous
Correct.
administration, di ba?
Point.
Na ang daming kasong sinasampa, fake na nga, trumped up charges, fake evidence, fake witnesses.
Parang kay Leila de Lima.
Pucha, naalala mo yun. At saka hindi na naalala niyo yung Matrix sa mukhang ang nag-drawing nun, isang 5-year-old.
Yung si
Nandun pa ata si
Jollibee at saka
Jollibee.
Gretchen Ho. Yung si Jollibee at Gretchen.
Oo,
Pero
tapos si
hindi ako
Hidlin.
sinama.
Hidlin Reyes ando Hidlin Diaz ando doon, parang what the freak is wrong with you people? Who did this and how stupid do you think people are? And even Panelo said it. Natingin niya talaga, unfortunately. Sinabi ni Panelo, and not me Panelo said this to the Duterte supporters. He doesn't think you're very smart. Sinabi niya medyo mababa ang kalidad ng mga sumusuporta kay Duterte. And he said it, not me. Okay? Ako nga naniniwala
Kasi
ako
nga mababang
na
kalidad ni Duterte, yun ang problema. Wala
ayun.
siyang karapatan magreklamo kung yung boss mismo niya ang pinakamababang kalidad. Not to mention, Jess, let me ask you, is Panelo a legal luminary? Like, ang reputation niya sa mga legal community.
Ano siya? Uh, he's a legal gem. He's a legal gem naman.
Kasing
And gems
colorful naman.
Yes. Colorful siya. He's a colorful character. And gems can come in different sizes and shapes and
Na parang
colors.
artifact, ganun ba yan?
Medyo
No, I mean,
fossilized.
na may mga fossilized, may mga kulay black na gems, di ba? They're still beautiful. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Pagdating, I wanted to make a fashion show, tapos basically, panalo or panelo. Kung maganda, panalo. Kung sabla yung fashion, panelo. But, but ikaw, Mark, since ikaw yung mabait sa atin lahat, Riza was mentioned a while ago. Where do you think is Riza right now? I just heard the other day, she was quoted sa Harvard Crimson, and sa Harvard yata siya the other week, no? That bukas siya to run for 2028. So it looks like, yung sinasabi ko, offense is the best defense. Risa is kind of doing that. She's kind of going on the offensive right now. There are discussions na siya yung mag-head ng Blue Ribbon Committee. I don't know what. But Risa is not backing down. She's moving forward and pushing forward. What is your read of that?
Ako as a senator talagang, like I said, she's the pinaka favored ng mga tao. She's the top performing, number one talaga. Pero ang ano pa rin akong, kumbaga, ano yung kailangan na factor para people could see her on a higher level as a president. Actually, ang tinanong ko kay Sentry kanina, na alam natin, Sentry is the number one cheerleader for President Risa. So, ang tanong ko sa kanya, what would President Risa Ontiveros look like? Yun ang tinanong ko sa kanya, sinagot naman niya. Kasi I think yun ang kailangan makita ng mga tao. Ano yung difference kapag si Risa yung naupo, yung sa mga political dynasty na yan, mawawala na ba yan? So, yun ang maganda maging klaro to turn yung
But Mark,
kanyang
doesn't this go down
perform.
to just... No, sorry, Mark. Doesn't this just go down if Lenny doesn't run or Bam, automatically Rizal is gonna pick up that numbers? Hindi ba automatically, but let's say...
You need a wider You need a wider umbrella, and also kailangan mo hindi ka pwedeng maghintay lang kay Lenny. Your numbers need to pick up now. 'Di ba? So you need kumbaga your own movement your own branding, your own na anong issue, anong kumbaga yung mga diehard na followers mo, anong main na reason nila bakit Risa over everyone else. So I think nasa ganung stage si Senator Risa, and important yon lalo na kung president or vice president yung tatakbuhin niya. Pero yun ang kailangan niyang mas ipakita ng maayos siguro or mai-present ng maayos. Why her? Why her? Bakit kahit sa gakampings lang, bakit siya not Lenny? Bakit siya not Pam? Hindi kasi pwedeng lalabas na parang second option. Hindi, dapat meron siyang sariling husay, meron siyang sariling galing. Ang tanong, yan ba yung kailangan natin sa 2028? Diba? So it's up to her to show kung ano yung klaseng presidency that Risa Ontiveros would have
Meron akong
kung sakaling
chismis.
siya yung manalo.
Meron akong chismis.
Ano yan?
Okay. Si Senator Risa kasi, di ba? So, hindi naman sure kung tatakbo or not si Lenny. Pero sa ngayon ako nakikita ko magkaka-Lenny Bam. Yun ang nakikita ko. Magkaka-Lenny Bam sa 2028. Ang mga chismis naman sa Quezon City, may mga nagsasabi baka daw tumakbo si Risa na mayor ng Quezon City. Hindi ko lang tinatanong pa kay Senator Risa directly. That's one. Second, pwede din daw siyang tumakbo for Congress. Congresswoman district. Kasi nakatira siya sa isang district sa Quezon City.
Where does she live ba?
Ayoko sabihin yung
Anong
district.
distrito ba?
Basta nasa QC siya.
Wag natin, yes. Nasa
For her
QC siya.
safety.
Wag niyo sabihin,
Ano?
wag sabihin kasi.
Sa may amin kaya yan sa District 1? O
Hindi,
sa...
basta kasi yung congressman doon, di ba, ma-alert tsaka yung mga supporters. Wag na, wag na,
Oo
wag
nga.
na. O basta options lang naman yon. Mayor ng
Okay.
QC, Congresswoman District, or ako naman itong suggestion ko. Ako, alam mo naman ako, syempre, bida-bida tayo. Sasabihin ko naman to kay Senator Risa
Go for G. Go for G.
pero dito ko na uunahin. Kung magle-Lenny Bam sa 2028, dapat si Chel tumaas to a senator. And I think
Okay.
gagawin naman nila eh. But si
100%.
Risa, ang safest option, mag-first nominee ng Akbayan Party List para hindi lang siya one time or a fluke na nag-number one party list ng Akbayan. Pag siya ang first nominee ng Akbayan, I think na number one party list ulit ang Akbayan sa 2028. So yun yung pinaka safe option kung tumakbo si Lenny.
Chris, what do you think about this Riza issue before we wrap up? Ang haba pala tong episode natin.
Yeah,
Ikaw,
I'll tell you. Yeah, I'll tell you right now. If Risa runs and decides to run, I believe she will get the support. I believe everyone will rally around her. I believe that there are enough numbers and enough people na alam naman nating lahat na kung tignan mo sa lahat ng mga politiko ngayon on the national stage, siya yung may pinakamataas na integridad. Walang tatapat sa kanya na kahit na sinong senador na gustong tumakbo. Wala na kahit sino sa executive department that even comes close to Riza's integrity. Na even ang mga corrupt at ang mga magnanakaw ay sinasabi nga, pag si Riza ba, tinawag na corrupt, may maniniwala? Wala! Kahit na nga ito na nga, na ginawa ni Tuning, naglabas ang sinabi niya na, uy, bakit may insertion si Riza? Walang naniwala na corrupt si Riza. Hanggang ngayon, wala. Ganon katibay ang integridad ni Risa at ang kanyang kredibilidad. Bakit? Kasi pag tinignan mo yung kilos ni Risa at salita niya, iisa. Napapansin mo na meron siyang sinusundan na isang pananaw, isang guiding principle. Yun eh. Kaya nakakabilib nga at matapang siya. Humaharap siya sa mga hamon. Humaharap siya kung kailangan. Humaharap siya sa mga katiwalian. Hinaharap niya ang mga tulad ni Duterte na walang takot. Habang yung mga iba ay, nagka-cower na lang pag nakikita si Duterte, Risa stood there, sat in front of Duterte and stared him down. Yan ang kasing tapang na hinahanap natin. So para sa akin, if Risa runs, I hope then I know definitely on the side of the people that supported Lenny, they are all gonna go support her. That's number one. Then you have the BBM factor. Then that faction, they're all gonna be jumping into that bandwagon. I think Risa has a good chance if she wins. But having said that, if Lenny decides to run, I think Lenny should too. The Lenny Bam tandem is also a great tandem. At yun, hindi, ang maganda naman kay Lenny at kay Bam, makukuha niyang support ng mga BBM at kahit yung mga ibang Duterte na faction. Yung faction na hindi kasama ni Sara Duterte. Remember, there's a faction in the Duterte camp. Yung kay Sara at yung kay Bongo. Hindi ni Sara makukuha ang buong Duterte camp pag si Lenny tumakbo. Dahil si Lenny may makukuha yung mga boto away from the DDS as well. Even Bam will take votes away from Sara to be able to drive to Lenny's side. So, I'm very confident in 2028 once na may nag-announce na, as long as walang magkakainan ng mga boto na biglang may mga papasok dyan na alam na, teka lang, ito na yung pinakamalakas sa kandidato, let's just support this one. If that happens, we're good.
Okay, let me really go strong for this. Thanks for that, by the way, Chris. I appreciate it. And also I completely agree with all of you. Basically, my 2 cents is this. Unang-una, let's not forget, Lenny was barely 2-3%, and then suddenly she jumped to double digit. So there's a rallying effect. We have seen that in the past. So what tells you Riza cannot have that rallying effect, right? Number two, you work the number. Kaya absolutely correct si Mark. You work the number. You get the momentum going. But in the case of Lenny, even if she did it 11th hour, there was still a massive rallying effect. Malas lang, nagsama yung unit team. Kaya nga walang kredibilidad ng mga DDS magsalita sa corruption and all. Because if your target is Marcos, kayo ang nagpabalik sa mga Marcoses, right? But anyways, going back to this issue, the third thing I want to say also here, guys, is Risa, although sa initial thought is weaker than Lenny and even Bam, based on some surveys, I think Risa is way more palatable to the loyalist and the centrist in ways that maybe Lenny and Bam would not be, right? Bam was even endorsed by the other side of this equation, let's be honest, during the Senate. And Lenny, given the history with Marcos, I'm still willing to see. I still want to see the numbers, right? Because in theory, I could see Risa tactically much more palatable, not only to the pink base, not 100%. Maybe some of them will not vote if Lenny's not there, sure, but just enough you can get from pink. And I think she's also palatable to people from the other side. I've seen so many people na kalaban natin dati na mas galit sa mga Dutertes and sobrang believe ngayon kay Risa, right? Pangapat, and this is where I think I completely see where Jez is coming from. But Jess, I don't think there'll be another time in our history whereby a progressive candidate like Risa will have this kind of opening. And especially after her on multiple occasions saying bukas siya na tumakbo sa presidente, I think it's a disservice not only to herself, not only to her supporters, it's a disservice to our history if she doesn't go for gold. Because I think if she goes for gold and doesn't make it, there's more to that than she's stepping down and then doing the usual trapo thing. Oh, I'll just run for this and that. Then wala na yung moment and wala na rin yung Riza effect eh. Diba? Kaya even Vico, if Vico steps out and doesn't run next elections, he will still be part of history and I think he'll be even bigger down the road. So I think this is the time you go big or you go home. Or going home is going big in a way, right? So for me, Risa saying that again right now, after everything, all the debates, let's be honest, may mga away din ng mga pink factions recently, Jess, you know that very well. I think that means she's ready to go all the way, right? And whether it makes it or not, that's a secondary issue. But you have to work the number. And I think there's a lot of time to work the numbers, work the logistics, work the grand coalition. And lastly, there's a reason why a Sentry, I believe sa isang Senri. Ang quantum ng courage for Sentry is like off the charts. And if Sentry tells you matapang si Risa, medyo mahiya ka sa sarili mo if you don't want a courageous leader, right? I'm telling you, for me, Sentry is not perfect. There are times na nag-disagree kami. Sabi ko, ba, nagtampo kaya ito sa akin on some issues and all. But Sentry and Leila de Lima, they are my indicators of courage. If they tell you matapang ito si Risa, and we saw it with our own eyes, how she withstood all of these attacks and trolling, my God, good luck na lang sa atin if we give up on this opportunity to support a candidate like this. I don't think we'll have many Risas and Vicos down the road if this Risa and Vico do not go for gold, whether go home or go big, whatever they choose, no? So that's why, for me, yun lang. I think I don't need to spell it out. Last part, just to be fair, we saw the other day when Kiko Pangilinan's image came out dun sa isang malaking event, the Gen Z responded very enthusiastically. Chris, don't you think we are also overlooking Kiko Pangilinan? Because I'll be honest, I'm very impressed with Kiko since he has returned to the Senate. He has really, really done well. Sobrang galing ng interventions niya. Patola kay Robin Hood Padilla, patola kay Marcoleta. Matapang, magaling, mahusay, maayos. Hindi rin corrupt. And I think he has leveled up since last time I saw him. And mukhang gusto siya ng Gen Z. I mean, aren't the Gen Zs giving us some idea that maybe election cycles could be different? Maybe we should stop thinking it in 2022 terms. Maybe 2028
Yeah.
will be super different.
Alam mo, you're actually right with that, Richard, ano, na ganda ng observation mo na medyo iba nga si Kiko Pangilinan ngayon kumpara sa dating Kiko Pangilinan, na I like na palaban siya. I like na the fact na tama ka, patola siya kina Marcoleta. Hindi siya basta-basang umatras, pumapatol siya, and magaling siya sumagot. Maayos. At may pagka, sarcastic sometimes. Go, whatever it takes. And with that new Kiko Pangilinan, mas energized, mas, ito yun eh. hinahanap kasi ng tao ngayon ay isang leader na nagpapakita ng tapang, na nagpapakita na hindi siya umaatras sa mga bully. Yun ang importante. Pag nakikita natin yun, hinahangaan yun ng kabataan. Yan ang binoboto ng tao. So you're right. If Kiko decides, there's a possibility. I again at this point, mahirap masabi where we're gonna go with this, but I am sure that whoever among them that decides to when they talk and decide, oh, ito na ang ibabato natin, I think they'll get the support of a lot of people. They'll get my support. I'll tell you right now, they will get my support. Lenny, Risa, Bam, Kiko, who else?
100%. All of them are good
Lima,
candidates.
who
We're
else?
just talking about who better. All of them are good, just to be clear. All
Yeah,
of them are good.
yeah. So yun.
Meron din akong idadagdag, Richard. Hindi ako, very good observation yun. Let's not sleep on Senator Kiko Pangilinan. Idagdag mo pa yung showbiz side, Donnie Pangilinan and all that. Automatic kasama yun. Pero ito yung importante. Bam, Kiko, and Risa. Okay, ang medyo ano ko lang din kay Senator Risa, anong issue siya magfo-focus? Kasi, kumbaga nakaset na for Senator Bam, for Senator Kiko. Si Senator Bam, ang issue niya, kulang ng classrooms, upgrade yung education, technology, blockchain the budget, yung mga ganong type. If he succeeds doon sa mga gusto niyang gawin, if ma-convince niya yung Marcos admin to build 100,000 classrooms and ganyan, dahil sa mga ano niya, then he has a lot of momentum going to 2028. Kay Senator Kiko, I am rooting for him to succeed dahil ang sitwasyon natin ngayon, yung mga magsasaka, sobrang bagsak nung bili sa kanila ng palay. Yung farm gate price, maraming nalulugi. May mga, for some instances, yung mga magsasaka either sumusuko na, yung iba even choose to take their own life. Sobrang kawawa yung sitwasyon ng mga farmers. A lot of that has to do with the rice tariffication law. So I want Senator Kiko to succeed, to go after smugglers, to go after lahat na nagpapahirap sa food farmers natin. And if he succeeds on that, let us not sleep on Senator Kiko kasi that
Absolutely.
could give him momentum to 2028. So yun may kanya-kanya silang project. And syempre, yung degree that they become successful dun sa kanilang mission. And I want agriculture to be a mainstream issue kasi ngayon hindi pa nag-uusapan masyado. Hindi siya, ang daming farmers are suffering because yung mga bagsak yung mga presyo. Like yung for example, yung 15% to 35% ibabalik yung tariff. Diba? Very few people are aware do sa problema na yon pagdating sa tariff, kung gaano naapektuhan yung mga local na magsasaka because of that tariff na ginawa ni Marcos. And of course, idagdag mo pa yung rice tariffication law ng mga Villar and Duterte. Sobrang hirap. So if Senator Kiko could lead that, and mukha namang on board si PBBM to support him pagdating sa agriculture, then we could see Senator Kiko as another potential candidate for 2028 and nothing to lose. Yun pa
Exactly.
yung
He has
maganda
many
doon.
strengths that Riza also has, plus the fact that he's much more to the center, probably even more palatable to other people, plus
Yeah.
the fact that he's super experienced, plus the fact that he was the vice presidential candidate already in 2022, plus the fact that he has really stepped up. I'm still debating with myself kung sana nag-Blue Ribbon Committee siya or no. I know meron siyang pros and cons and we can debate about that. But I think all of us are agreeing here, Kiko Pangilinan should be given the due respect he deserves as a potential presidential candidate. I think he has earned that respect with his absolutely amazing performance over the past few months. And I'm more than happy to reverse some of the initial skepticisms I had when they joined the Team Kilay. But having said that, I think you're right. No, he ticks all the boxes. And yung ganito sa Senado, baka naman
Hindi pa
ganito sa
mainstream issues
Malacanang.
yung
Ganito sa
yung
Malacanang.
agriculture Imagine kung
100%.
kasing galit yung mga Pilipino sa flood control doon sa nangyayari sa mga magsasaka, and he is the one leading the way para sa mga farmers natin, tsaka sa mga
Yeah, so he
agriculture
also has the
sector.
Bam Aquino strength, diba? The Bam Aquino strength is this kind of concrete, pragmatic, diba? Meron din siya mas ano pa ngayon agriculture, diba? So meron
Plus,
siyang
ito pa.
sa tapang, meron din siyang Bam pragmatism, meron din siyang palatability, at meron din siyang experience and seniority, diba? And he's showing he can level
Yeah,
up.
meron siyang Sharon Cuneta. Na
Exact.
of
And
course,
meron
that's
siya,
always
ay,
ano,
absolute. And meron din siya yung ano yung bata, yung
Donnie Pangilinan.
so bad in show. I think we
Don
were really
Bell.
overlooking Kiko.
Automatic
I'm
na yon,
shocked that
kasama
no
si
one
Bel
is talking
Mariano
about
doon.
Kiko. Exactly. Nung nakita ko yung reaction ng kabataan nung pinakita si Kiko, tapos, di ba,
Oo.
ipapalang mga kurakot, di ba? The guy, I think this could be Kiko's moment too. I mean, this is exciting. Ang daming ng
I
medyo
hope
candidate.
turns mainstream yung problema ng mga farmers natin. Yun ang
100%.
prayer ko for him.
And Jess, last point, what about this Kiko Pangilinan and also the Gen Z aspect? Because I think the Gen Z aspect adds very new dynamics to 2028 na wala sa 2022 as much. And kaya nga tinitignan ko sinong palatable sa Gen Z. Kiko is hindi lang palatable sa atin, pero mukhang bati sa mga ibang generation.
Yeah. Well, there's reason to hope. The Gen Z vote, the millennial vote will only grow and increase in 2028, no? Kaya nga si Senator Risa, ano yan eh, yung kanyang social media medyo nagpapaka Gen Z or
Yep.
yung atake ng ano niya, PR niya, di ba? Si Senator Kiko, ganun din. Senator Bam, they're hiring younger social media managers. So all of them are viable. Again, I still think we've always been talking about this. It will be Mayor Lenny's decision before anything else we talk about. Walang pag-uusapan kung walang desisyon pa si Mayor Lenny. So Mayor Lenny should decide early. Yun na lang ang aking pihit, di ba? She should decide early kahit hindi publicly. Sana man lang masabihan na lahat ng allies early on if she wants to run for president or stick it out as mayor.
Again, with all due respect to Lenny, I see the logic, like, even from a tactical point of view, baka maganda, wag ka na lang magsalita, just do your thing, and then suddenly run, blah, blah, blah. Pero, ako, sabi ko, sayang we have to build yung kilusan ng as early as now. So, if we have some clearer idea, not absolute, but clear idea about who could be the standard bearer for opposition, you can start the job of building a movement as early as now because it's not about who becomes the president alone in 2020. It's about whether meron kang kilusan para tulungan yung magaling na presidente para lahat ng mga, kasi let's be honest, even if manalo ka sa Malacanang, if trapo pa rin yung Kongreso, trapo pa rin yung ibang institusyon, mahihirapan yung susunod na presidente. Kaya kailangan mo talaga kilusan di ba? And you have to start as early as now. Kaya even though tactically being silent now and running later, I'll still bet on Lenny to become the next president. But I don't think it's optimal in terms of making sure meron kang infrastructure for transformative change should 2020 come. On that note, thank you very much, Mark. Thank you very much, Chris, for this fantastic discussion. Ito yata ang pinakamahaba natin Quadcom. Siguro na-miss natin ang isa't isa. But to be honest, ang daming pwedeng pag-usapan. So thank you very much everyone for this latest episode ng Quadcom. Shoutout again sa lahat ng mga kaibigan natin. Mabuhay kayong lahat. Jess, Chris, and Mark. God bless and talk to you soon.